Thank you to Earthbreeze for sponsoring this video. Warmer weather means I have been doing a lot of yard work, which unfortunately leads to a lot of dirty clothes. Unlike conventional laundry detergents, which are often liquids that come in plastic jugs, Earthbreeze Eco Sheets look more like dryer sheets. Simply toss one into your washer, no pouring required. This compact and lightweight design makes the detergent easier for me to store in my home. It also makes it easier for Earthbreeze to ship, meaning Eco Sheets can be delivered on one of their flexible subscription options via carbon offset shipping right to my door for free. Scientists believe that there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean by the year 2050. Earthbreeze Eco Sheets come in plastic-free packaging, so I can cut plastic packaging out of my laundry process altogether. Earthbreeze Eco Sheets are dermatologist-tested, hypoallergenic, and free of bleach, dyes, and parabens. I prefer their fragrance-free option because of my sensitive skin, and I feel safe using it for my toddler's laundry as well. All of these benefits, for me and for the environment, don't come at the cost of performance. This is a shirt my toddler was wearing while he helped me as I was putting down mulch, and this is what it looked like after I washed it using Earthbreeze. If you are interested in switching to Eco Sheets, you can go to earthbreeze.com/hcasefiles to get started with 40% off. That's earthbreeze.com/hcasefiles for 40% off your subscription. "26-year-old Zain Waliany lives in Lilburn, Georgia, but his love for adventure has taken him all over the world. For a long time, one of his dream adventures was hiking the 13,000-foot Acatenango Mountain, which has views of the Volcán de Fuego, the volcano of fire, near Antigua, Guatemala. The hike has a reputation for being one of the best for experienced hikers in all of Guatemala, and provides incredible views of both the region and the active volcano. Zain finally had the opportunity to travel to Guatemala and fulfill his dream of hiking the mountain in May of 2024. Zain made the trip with his friend Josh, and the pair set out on the mountain on Tuesday, May 21st, after spending a few days in Guatemala. Zain called his father and left him a message telling him he was about to start the long hike. Zain started having trouble acclimating to the high elevation and began showing signs of altitude sickness, which slowed him down greatly. Josh would periodically have to stop to wait for him. By Zain's own later admission, he became frustrated and his ego got the best of him. He told Josh to go on without him, making a plan to meet up with him at the summit. Zain never arrived at their meeting spot. Josh waited for Zain at the summit, but ultimately hiked back down. He waited for Zain for a total of about 9 hours, but Zain never came back down the mountain. Josh then contacted local search and rescue and the local police, as well as Zain's family. His family contacted the U.S. Embassy and began disseminating his picture online in hopes that someone had seen him. Soon, their efforts resulted in local police, numerous charities, local search and rescue groups, and numerous volunteers searching for Zain on the mountain and in the encompassing jungle. Helicopters and drones searched for him from the air. 4 days after he went missing, Zain found his way to local police on a farming road to ask for help. Because of the massive effort underway to find him, they immediately knew who he was. Zain had badly sprained his ankle as he tried to make his way up the steep, ashy summit, so it took him hours to limp up to the top of the mountain. His cell phone died 20 minutes before he reached it, where he would have had a signal. Finding no one at the summit, he began his way back down the mountain. He fell twice as he did so. One of those falls was 400 feet off of a cliff. Luckily, he went through very dense vegetation as he did so, which broke what otherwise would have most likely been a fatal fall. By Zain's own admission, the survival kits he and Josh brought were woefully inadequate, and they had split their supplies between them. Zain would say in an interview following his ordeal that every person on a hike should have an emergency kit, knife, and lighter with them. While Josh had most of the supplies and extra food, Zain had just a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, wet wipes, and toilet paper. Zain was aware that his survival was unlikely, given his circumstances. However, his grandmother had passed away earlier in the year, and he knew his family could not face losing someone else just months later. He decided that instead of focusing on all the reasons why he would die in that jungle, he would think only of the things within his control that he could do to survive. Zain slept in caves and trees and drank rainwater as he made his way through the jungle, unsure if he was headed in the right direction. He left a trail of paper as he went, in case someone came looking for him. He then came across a dog he had befriended at base camp before beginning his ill-fated hike. Zain would later describe the dog as an angel in disguise, who aided in his survival. The dog accompanied Zain as he walked 14 hours a day, periodically going further ahead, but always coming back to Zain when he fell. Zain took advantage of the dog's superior hearing. Whenever the dog's ears perked up, Zain assumed he heard one of the numerous predators that lived in the jungle and went in the opposite direction. Zain and his canine companion eventually came across what Zain believed to be rainwater runoff, which led him to a farming road and to help. He was transported to receive medical treatment, but most of his injuries were minor cuts. He badly hurt his shoulder and bruised his kidney as a result of his 400-foot fall, but those were his most severe injuries. He was able to speak to his relieved family over the phone before traveling back home to them. In subsequent interviews, Zain has expressed gratitude for his survival, for his family's efforts, and for every person who took part in the search for him. Zain's next planned trip had been to Japan to go snowboarding, but it remains to be seen if he will be able to make that trip, as his parents took his passport from him as soon as he arrived home. When he made it back to the United States, he began looking for a foster home for the dog he credits with helping him survive. He is working to bring the dog from Guatemala to the US to live with him. "34-year-old Ian Snyder is a travel blogger and father of 3 from Ferndale, California. He is also an active hiker. At the beginning of December 2023, Ian was in Hawaii, and on December 4th, he set out on a hike. By his own later admission, he made numerous mistakes when it came to this hike. They began when he started planning it. He did not tell anyone where he was going to be hiking. He had mentioned to his father on the phone the day before that he would be taking a hike that day, but his father was not even aware that Ian was in Hawaii because he traveled so frequently. Ian also just used Google Maps to plan out the trails he would be taking. Since he had not used an official state source, he was unaware that he was planning to hike on a closed trail and should not be on it. Furthermore, he went on his hike alone, in a challenging and unfamiliar location. That day, Ian would be hiking the Ko'olau Summit Trail, considered to be one of the most difficult trails on Oahu, if not in all of Hawaii. The trail became more steep and more treacherous as he went along, but Ian was able to use his extensive hiking experience to manage the conditions. Ian then made another error in judgment when he made a split-second decision to deviate from his planned route. At some point, Ian fell more than 1,000 feet off of the mountain. He does not have a clear memory of the actual fall. When he came to, he was not sure of what had happened to him or how long he had been unconscious. He was of course lucky to have survived such a long fall at all, but he was also fortunate in that the spot where he landed was near the base of a waterfall. He was able to drag himself over to a small stream that flowed from the waterfall so that he had access to water. He was also able to situate himself between 2 large rocks by the stream so that he was sheltered from the wind. Ian's family was unaware that anything was wrong until they had not heard from him for a few days. On December 6th, one of Ian's friends told them about a video he had posted on social media, showing the area where he was before beginning his hike. This helped them determine that Ian was in Hawaii. They contacted officials there, and the following day, December 7th, the Honolulu Police Department contacted the Honolulu Fire Department requesting assistance in the missing persons case. The video Ian had posted to social media had been shown to members of the local hiking community. They were able to help identify the location shown in the video and began organizing searches for Ian. Honolulu police were able to use the last signal from Ian's cell phone to help narrow their search area. Rescue personnel from the fire department flew over the area and spotted Ian. They had been expecting the worst and were surprised to see Ian awake and aware enough to wave one arm to them as he heard them approach. He was given the nickname of the Miracle Man in the press because he survived such a serious fall, as well as days alone in the wilderness. Ian was airlifted out and taken to Queens Medical Center in Honolulu for medical treatment. He broke bones in his face, arm, and hand, and sustained numerous puncture wounds. One of his eyes was damaged, and he was left with double vision in it. On December 12th, nearly a week after he was rescued, Ian was able to publicly thank everyone involved with finding him and bringing him to safety. After returning home to California, Ian filmed and recorded public service announcements for radio and television at the request of Hawaii's Department of Land and Natural Resources. In them, he detailed some of his mistakes and provided information about hiking safely. He ended his statement by saying, "Consider the risks first responders take. I'm alive because of them. Don't make the mistakes I did. You may not live to share your lessons." Christy Perry is a graduate of the University of Texas at Austin, and while she is now based out of Houston, Texas, she frequently travels throughout the United States. On November 8, 2023, 25-year-old Christy picked up a rental car in Midland, Texas, and arrived at Big Bend National Park near the Mexican border the following day. She had made a reservation for that night at the Chisos Basin campground. She never arrived for it. Christy's family reported her missing on November 15th after she failed to return home as scheduled. Christy's rental car was then found at the trailhead of the Lost Mine Trail. The trail is just under 5 miles long round trip and climbs through the woodlands of the Chisos Mountains. It is a very popular trail because it provides beautiful views of the surrounding area. The trail was closed to the public so that a massive search for Christy could begin. The park does not have cell service, and Christy's phone could not be tracked. Park rangers and U.S. Border Patrol agents searched the Lost Mine Trail on foot, and a park pilot flew over the trail on November 15th, the day Christy was reported missing. The following day, search teams made up of National Park Service employees, U.S. Border Patrol agents, Texas game wardens, and members of the Los Diablos fire crew performed a more extensive search of the trail and the surrounding area. Multiple helicopters and planes searched for Christy from the air. Around 9:30 a.m. on November 17th, more than a week after she went missing, search teams located Christy, who was awake and talking, despite being outdoors without food or supplies, often in rainy and foggy conditions, for 8 days. A Texas Department of Public Safety helicopter airlifted Christy to Odessa, Texas, where she received medical treatment. It had been very foggy during Christy's hike on November 9th, and she had inadvertently gone off the trail and gotten lost within the park. Through social media posts, she has expressed her gratitude for the efforts and kindness of all those who searched for her in the park and cared for her in the hospital. Despite this experience, she has since returned to exploring America's national parks.